Hello and welcome back to my channel. My name is Mary if you're new here, and today we are going to be doing the Pandora's Box book tag. I saw Eric from Break Even Books do this tag and he didn't tag me in it. He doesn't know who I am, but I'm doing it anyways because it sounded fun. I will have his video linked down below as well as the original tag video, or what I believe is the original tag video. So if you're interested in watching those videos, make sure to tell them that I sent you, if I did. Okay, great, let's get into it. So this tag, I have my laptop over here with my notes on it. It's 9 questions, or 9 prompts, and they all have to do with the myth of Pandora's box. So the tag, like I said, has 9 prompts, and they each have to do with a part of the story, and they're actually really clever, which I kind of like, and it's a very unique book tag, which I'm into as well. So prompt number 1 is Prometheus stealing fire from the gods. And this is a book dealing with stealing something / a heist. So my first thought with this was Percy Jackson and the Lightning Thief, just because it has thief in the title, but I haven't read that book in like over 10 years, so I really don't remember what it's about except for demigods. At some point I do want to reread the Percy Jackson series because I never finished it, which is a whole long story, but story for another day. But for this prompt, I wound up picking The Goldfinch by Donna Tartt, which I'm actually in the middle of reading right now. Well, in the middle, I'm like really close to finishing it. I'm listening to it as an audiobook mostly. I'm doing this for Tome Topple, and I just gotta tell you guys, I told my mom that I was reading this book, and she read it for her book club maybe at one point a few years ago. And when I told her I was reading this, she was like, oh god, that book just goes on. And I gotta say, that it does. This book is like 770 pages, and it certainly could have been pared down to like 400, in my opinion. But it also won did it win the Pulitzer Prize or something? Yeah, it won the Pulitzer Prize. So I don't know if I'm missing something. If you love this book, let me know. From what I can see on Goodreads, it has a lot of mixed reviews, and a lot of them are saying the same things that I think. But I will go into more detail about my opinion on this in my wrap-up, which will be up in like a week or two. But this is basically about a little boy named Theo, who, when he's 12, he lives in New York City with his mom, and she dies in a terrorist attack on an art museum. And when he is escaping the art museum, he steals this painting, The Goldfinch, and it's just about his life from there. It's been described as Dickinsonian, which I assume has to do with the fact that it's like, first of all, really wordy. Charles Dickens got paid by the word, and so she did not, but she writes like she did, in my opinion, again. And it also has to do with like orphans, having a really hard time with life. There's a character named Pippa, which is like similar to Pip from Great Expectations. Unrequited childhood love, stuff like that. I don't know if I'm feeling this book, but I'm almost finished with it. It's not terrible. Again, I'll talk about it more in my wrap-up. I don't need to get into it now. But yes, this has to do with theft, obviously, of a painting. And a bunch of other stuff, too. I don't know what all I can say about it without spoiling it. Because I'm not going to lie, when I did my TBR video for that book, I literally thought it was about a boy whose mom dies in a car accident. Like, I didn't realize that it was even a terrorist attack. I just read accident, and my head was like, car accident. But no. Anyways. Prompt 2. Pandora sent to the humans as revenge for stealing fire. So this is a book with a good revenge plot. And for this, I thought of the French classic, The Count of Monte Cristo by Alexandre Dumas. That is basically the story of a man who is, I believe, wrongfully accused and imprisoned for a time. I read that like 10 years ago too, but I can't think of another book that has a really good revenge plot in it. And that's like the classic revenge story. And I remember reading it and not liking it in like 7th grade. I think we had to read it for school. But I've recently come to terms with the fact that I didn't like any books I had to read for school, basically. And I think it was because I had to read them. So I want to reread books that I read for school at some point. Maybe I'll do a reading vlog of that or something. But that basically is about this guy getting revenge. And like, it's like the greatest revenge story of all time. So that's the thing that I thought of. But I haven't read it in a long time. So maybe I should have thought of something else. But I couldn't. Anyways. Prompt 3. Pandora is the first female human. So this is a creation story. So a book that has the creation of a being or a creation of a piece of art or something. And for this, I picked Cat's Cradle by Vonnegut, which was one of my favorite books that I've read this year so far. It's like a classic sci-fi, kind of. It's about a guy who invents this thing called Ice 9. So that's the creation aspect of it. And it's set on a kooky little island where there's like a weird religion, and the people who are I believe they're the children of the man who invented Ice Nine, they don't realize what they have, and they accidentally unleash it on this island, and then it's like a post-apocalyptic thing. But Ice Nine basically is a different type of ice that if it touches anything, it like freezes everything around it. So if you like drink water, or if you like put Ice Nine on you, you freeze, which is why it like kills everything when it's accidentally released. But I really like this book. Highly recommend it. I sound like really croaky. I'm not sure why. Prompt 4. Is that what I'm on? Yes. Prompt 4 is Pandora All Gifted. So this is a book that you were gifted. And for this, I chose The Book of Lost Friends by Lisa Wingate. This is a historical fiction / contemporary. I believe it has 2 timelines following, I think it's a white woman and a black woman, and it's like, it originally follows a black woman who, when the slaves are freed in the South, she travels from Mississippi or Louisiana up to Texas, perhaps, and then it's her descendant trying to find her like extended family or people who were lost during the slave trade, and there's a white woman who I believe is descendant of a plantation owner, and she has this book that kept, I guess it's like a ledger, and so she's trying to help this woman find her, like, extended family. I don't know, but I haven't read this yet. Matt's mom, my partner's mom, sent this to me. She sent this to me, and I haven't read it yet. Matt finished it recently. This was the book that he was reading. So I need to read this. I think I'm going to read it next month. I think I've figured out a way to put it on my TBR, which, well, I guess it won't be up when you're watching this. It'll be next Sunday's video. But yeah, this is the book that was gifted to me the most recently, I guess. Next. Prompt 5 is Told You So, which is a book in which a warning is ignored. And for this, I picked The Name of the Wind by Patrick Rothfuss. The main character in this book, Kvothe? No, I think it's Kvothe because it's supposed to be like Quoth, but Kvothe. Whatever. I don't know. This is the first book in an adult high fantasy series. The third book's probably never going to come out, so I don't know if I'm going to continue this series. But I did read this also for Tome Topple, and I enjoyed this book. I will talk about it more in my wrap-up. But basically, Kvothe is the like greatest wizard that this fictional fantasy world has ever seen, or has seen since a long time from now. I thought the magic system in this was really cool, but I need to not give a summary because I'm going to do that in my wrap-up. A lot of times, Kvothe is like a 15-year-old boy in this book for the majority of it, and people keep advising him to do things. Like, he has a friend who, for one of his projects, they have to make a lamp out of magic, basically like a magic lamp, at the school that he goes to. I'm not explaining this very well at all, but I'm just trying to give an example that doesn't really have any spoilers. But he decides he's going to do a different kind of lamp than what the other people are doing, and his friend, who's a little older than him and has taken this class or whatever, is like, you don't need to do that. They literally just want you to make the lamp. And it turns out his friend was right. And there's a lot of stuff like that. Like, Kvothe is constantly trying to be better than everyone else, because he's really gifted and really smart, and he's a really gifted magician or wizard or whatever. But sympathizer? I don't really know what they're called. But he's always trying to prove himself, and it gets him into a lot of pickles. So that's what I chose for this. Prompt 6 is Box Should Have Actually Been a Jar. So a book that turned out a lot differently than you thought it would. I talked about this a lot already, but for this I picked Vacation by Devil and Unferth. This is literary fiction, and I want to just clear it up. The only reason I thought this book would be different than it was is because for some reason I got it in my head that this was a mystery. It is not a mystery. It's literary fiction. It's pretty short. It's about a man who follows his wife because he notices that his wife is following a stranger, and the man knows the stranger, and so he goes to follow the stranger and settle the score. And for some reason I thought this was a mystery plot. It's not. This book is not what I expected out of it at all. But I think if you went into it knowing it was going to be like a literary fiction, I think you would like it a lot more. Anyways, that's my 2 cents on that. Prompt 7 is Opening the Box Set Loose a Lot of Bad Things into the World. And so for this, it is a character that causes a lot of problems without intending to. And for this, I'm not going to spoil it, so I'm not going to tell you which character it is, which is kind of a cop-out. But this is All Your Twisted Secrets by Diana Urban. This came out this year. It is a young adult thriller about a group of teenagers who get invited to a scholarship dinner that turns out to not actually be a scholarship dinner, and it's just someone has locked them in the basement of a restaurant and is basically like, figure out amongst yourselves who in this room you want to kill, because they have a syringe and there's a bomb, and the bomb is ticking down for an hour, and if they don't pick someone to kill within the hour, they all blow up and die. So pretty grim, pretty dark, but actually I well enjoyed this book, and I didn't call the ending, but the character at the ending is the character that I would say causes all of this to happen, and it's not what they intended to do at all. That's all I'll say about it. Wild. Prompt 8 is The Only Thing Remaining Was Hope. So it's a heartbreaking book with a silver lining, or a book with heartwarming parts. And for this, I chose On Earth We're Briefly Gorgeous by Ocean Vuong. Vuong? I'm terrible at pronouncing names, apparently. But this is another literary fiction. So when I read this, I thought it was a memoir, but it's not. It's fictionalized. But it seems pretty autobiographical. I don't know anything about the author's real life, but I could see it being like based in part. So it's about a young boy who's writing to his mother, who is an immigrant from Vietnam. And he was born in, I think it's Connecticut or New York or somewhere up there, like near New York City, but not in New York City from what I understand. And it's sort of about like his childhood, him coming to terms with the fact that he's gay, and it's this letter to his mom. And he also does a lot of really beautiful like storytelling about his birth, because I believe his father was an American soldier in the Vietnam War, and I think that's how it goes. But this book was so sad. I cried so much in this book. And he's gay, so he talks about like his first love and coming to terms with being like different than his friends, how his mother and his grandmother didn't speak English, and how his mother didn't really accept him for being gay at first, and how that all went. And it's just one of those books that like had some really like beautiful, I can't even say uplifting, but like it just had some parts that were very lovely to read, and the writing was really good, but it just so sad. And it really just made me feel like so upset. I have a vivid memory. I listened to it as an audiobook, which I would recommend doing because the audiobook is fantastic for this. But I have this memory of Matt and I at our old apartment, and I was doing laundry and listening to this book, but I just remember I was sobbing trying to fold my laundry. So, not for the faint of heart, but I would really recommend that book if you are looking for something to just make you feel something. And then the final question is number 9, which is a myth explaining the existence of evil in the world. So it's pick a book that centers around battling a great evil. And for this, I don't know how well this fits the prompt, but I chose The Three-Body Problem by Cixin Liu. But this basically is this is a hard science fiction series. This is the first book in the series. I finished the second book in the series this month, spoilers. I read it for Tome Topple, and then I'm hoping to finish it next month, if I can. But this is basically a first contact with aliens, hard science fiction about the first contact with aliens. It's centered around China, and it's the like evil in it is the aliens, obviously. Maybe not obviously. But it also deals with a lot of like evilness of mankind. So because of the realization of the alien planet, there is like a sect of humans who sort of believe that like the aliens deserve to live and the humans don't. And it's really interesting. This is a really interesting series. I really enjoyed it. And I actually liked the second book. I think I rated it lower, but I want to say I enjoyed it more. But there were also more things that I nitpicked. I don't know. I need to revisit. But I thought the series was fantastic. So, those are all the prompts that I have to share with you today. Let me know what you would pick for some of these prompts down below. If you do this tag, please make sure to tag me in it so I can watch it, or to link it down below so I can see it. If you've read any of these books, let me know what you thought. Let me know if your thoughts were the same or different as mine. And with that, I hope you guys are having a great weekend, and I will see you on Thursday. Bye!